Every single day, billions of dollars change hands in exchange for human time. But what actually dictates what your specific hour is worth? Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking the fascinating and honestly sometimes totally invisible forces that drive our labor markets, dictate our wages, and shape income inequality. It's a complex web of economics that impacts absolutely every single one of us. But don't worry, we're going to break it all down step by step so you can see exactly what's going on behind the scenes of the broader economy.
So let's start off with a really simple yet profoundly important question for you to think about. What exactly shapes your paycheck? I mean, have you ever stopped to wonder why some professions earn just significantly more than others? Or what actually determines the specific dollar amount attached to an hour of your time? Well, it definitely isn't random. There are some seriously powerful mechanics at play here.
Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1. The price of labor. Supply, demand, and your paycheck.
To truly understand your paycheck, you first have to realize that labor is, at its core, a market commodity, and it is completely driven by the age-old forces of supply and demand. Just like any other market for goods or services, there's a supply of labor, workers wanting jobs, and a demand for labor, which is employers wanting workers. Your wage or your salary is essentially just the price of your labor. The higher the demand for a specific skill from employers and the scarcer that skill is in the workforce, the higher the wage is going to be. Like, for example, a highly specialized software engineer. They're bringing a very scarce skill to a massive high-demand market, so naturally, they command a much higher price. On the flip side, jobs requiring lower demand or more common skills generally command lower wages. It's really that constant push and pull that puts the final price tag on your time.
Moving on to Part 2, investing in human capital, increasing your value.
So if supply and demand dictate wages, how exactly do you go about increasing your personal value in this super competitive landscape? Well, it all comes down to something called human capital. This is defined as the economic value of a worker's experience and skills. It's essentially what you build up through education and specialized training. Basically, when you spend time and money investing in your education and learning new things, you aren't just snagging a certificate or a piece of paper. You are making yourself directly more productive. And because of that, you become intrinsically more valuable to employers in the market. It's kind of like upgrading your own personal software.
And the real-world impact of that investment? It is absolutely staggering. Data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics consistently proves there's a very strong, highly measurable correlation between educational attainment and higher income. Getting a specialized degree doesn't just change your job title. It literally acts as a multiplier on your lifetime earnings. So building your human capital directly boosts your earning power over the course of your entire career.
All right, Part 3, realities of the gig economy. Flexibility versus instability.
Right now, we're living right in the middle of a massive modern disruption that bridges both macro and microeconomics. I'm talking about the gig economy. This represents a huge shift in how we work today, mostly defined by short-term contracts and freelance projects, and it's almost entirely fueled by modern online platforms. Technology has pretty much completely rewritten the traditional labor reality, giving rise to an entirely new workforce ecosystem. We're talking about the millions of ride-sharing drivers, food delivery workers, and freelance graphic designers out there who can now connect instantly and directly with consumers from their phones.
But this new system presents two very distinct realities. On one hand, the pros are amazing. You get ultimate professional flexibility, and of course, the huge appeal of being your own boss. You wake up, you set your own hours. Awesome, right? But this flexibility comes with some pretty serious trade-offs. We're talking significant income instability and a major lack of traditional benefits. Gig workers typically don't get employer-sponsored health insurance, they don't get paid time off, and there's no retirement plan. It's an impartial look at a brand new labor dynamic with very distinct risks and distinct rewards.
Next up, Part 4, the income inequality gap, zooming out to societal outcomes.
So now that we've looked at individual wages, human capital, and modern workforce disruptions, let's zoom all the way out. What is the macroeconomic societal outcome when all these diverse skills, demands, and disruptions mix together? Well, this brings us straight to income inequality. In economic terms, this is basically just a measure of how total income is divided among households, which highlights the gap between the rich and the poor. Economists use tools for this, like the Gini coefficient, which measures income distribution on a scale from 0 to 1. And the results of those measurements constantly spark really vital debates around fairness, opportunity, and social mobility within a country.
When economists divide the population up into fifths, a really stark picture emerges. The highest-earning households, meaning that top 20% slice of the population, capture a significantly disproportionate share of the total economic pie compared to the bottom 80%. It's a vivid reminder of just how concentrated income can become across a population over time.
So the crucial point here is understanding exactly why this gap exists and why it persists. And honestly, the answer is incredibly multifaceted. The underlying forces driving this expanding gap include technology, for one, which is actively automating certain jobs and displacing workers whose skills just aren't in demand anymore. Then there's globalization, which fundamentally increases job competition because the labor pool is suddenly expanding across international borders. And finally, shifting labor union policies have altered the collective bargaining power of workers over time. As you can see, it's a highly complex picture driven by massive global and domestic forces.
Which brings us to part 5, your economic future, navigating the landscape.
Let's bring the focus right back to you for a second. Your skills, your choices, and the shifting dynamics of the labor market, they're all going to play a huge role in your personal economic journey. Understanding these trends, from the basic everyday mechanics of supply and demand to the realities of the gig economy, all the way up to those macro forces of income inequality, that is the absolute key to effectively navigating your own career path. Plus, it gives you the context to thoughtfully participate in the ongoing debates around economic fairness.
Which leaves us with one final, incredibly vital question. How are you going to invest in your human capital? What skills are in super high demand right now, and which ones do you think will be scarce and valuable tomorrow? I really encourage you to critically evaluate the skills you're going to need for your future, and use this knowledge to take complete charge of your own economic journey. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope this deep dive helps you navigate the market ahead. Catch you next time.